Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Tim, Mark, Phil! This is very important. You have to get the little girl a new unicorn toy.
Eh? Papoy? Akala na papoy? No. Papoy. Ah! Papoy!
Hey, a toy!
Papoy.
Go! And hurry!
Hello and welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show. That's if you're listening to us live. If you're listening to us somewhere else, welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show. You listen to the Blu-Ray and DVD section of the show. What? Was that quite arrogant?
No, it's just the way you finish it. If you will, it's kind of like if you're listening somewhere else, then hi to you too.
Yeah. Why not? We've got to say hello to the people who are listening podcast land as well as live land. So we actually do review films instead of just waffling on. We've got quite a few films to review on the Blu-ray and DVD section of the show. They are.
The Staith is back with Jennifer Lopez in Parker. We have a love drama with a twist starring Josh Duhamel, Safe Haven. We have the remake of Red Dawn. We have the British film Ben Wheatley's A Field in England. A Scottish film Wee Man, or The Wee Man. We have from what I understand, fairly depressing film in Broken. A weird kind of drama, coming-of-age drama in Goats. And also then we have Exit, which is a film with Mads Mikkelsen in it.
Yeah, and if you are listening to live, there's a box in the bottom of the corner of your screen. Click on it and say hello to us. Let's get on with the Blu-ray and DVD top 10.
Starting at number 10 with Django Unchained.
Again, we've said absolutely everything we can possibly think to say about Django Unchained. It's good, overly long, Quentin Tarantino can't act.
It's in. I just want to actually say I saw on Rotten Tomatoes the other day, and it's actually there in the top listed films of all. I don't know about all time, but all recent ones. It's like 88%, and the other
Good
film I think it's 90% is one of the Pixar ones that's higher above it. So it's doing well. Number 9. This is 40.
It's more than 40 minutes too long. It's just Judd Apatow slapping himself on the back and saying to himself, "Yeah, look at my family life. Isn't it funny?" No, it's not. It's awful. It's not funny at all.
At number 8 is Les Miserables.
Best musical I've watched in quite a few years. The previous movie that I watched that was entirely a musical was Repo, the Genetic Opera. So you very rarely see these kind of movies get released where it's entirely a musical, but it's a brilliant film.
For me, the last one I watched was Rock of Ages, which I really, really loved.
No, it's an entirely a musical. Rock of Ages has proper acting in it. This is an entirely a musical.
That's true. But Les Miserables is one of those fantastic films. Number 7, Wreck-It Ralph.
Brilliant animated film for everybody. It has in-jokes in for absolutely everybody. And I mean absolutely everybody. The geeks in you and the non-geeks.
Number 6, A Good Day to Die Hard.
Yeah, pass, because it's an awful film.
Yeah, I really had a go at one of my friends recently when he bought that in the Blu-ray box set to get all the films and get that one as well. I was like, don't bother.
I saw that Blockbusters was selling it for like £5 on DVD already.
Dear. At number 5, Life of Pi.
It's another film that we said everything we can about it. It's brilliant. It's Andy at his best.
If you've got the equipment, get the 3D version. Number 4, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters.
Yeah, terrible film. Awful film considering the director. I actually made a brilliant horror comedy film in Dead Snow. This is just a pathetic attempt to try and make Hansel and Gretel there for adults. It's terrible.
Still hanging in there, for obvious reasons, at number 3, Despicable Me.
Without the minions going, bottom.
Yeah.
There is no bottom in this. Actually, the minions are more stripped back in Despicable Me than there are in Despicable Me 2. But it's decent enough.
It's not
as good as the second one, though. I like the second one more.
Yeah. At number 2, new entry for Cloud Atlas.
very confusing movie until you watch the last half an hour, where it actually fully pays off with the movie. The way it's structured is you get, I'm guessing, a maximum of about 10 minutes of each story at a time, and you have to try and piece it together properly and concentrate on the film. It is one of those movies where you can't be messing about with your phone or speaking to people. You need to fully concentrate on it, and for a film that's on for nearly 3 hours, that's very difficult to do, and it will annoy a lot of people. But once you get to the final 30-40 minutes of the movie, that's when it starts to fully wrap up all the story strands, and it becomes a really interesting, fantastic film. But I'm not going to say you have to suffer through the first 2.5 hours, but you have to concentrate for the first two and a half hours to do that, and that can really test people.
I've got to chase up. It reminds me, I've got to chase up one of our friends, Bounty Ball, on Twitter, who was going to watch this, but at my insistence, when I said don't watch it unless you're going to really watch it and be able to pay attention to it, so he delayed watching it. And I don't know if he's seen it yet. I'm curious to find out if he has.
The chances that people have a full 3 hours to spare where they can concentrate on a movie is very slim. So this will only be suitable for a small audience.
Yeah, I mean, even I've had it since the Blu-ray came out. I've had the Blu-ray to sit there and watch because I've only saw this at cinema, and I really want to see it again. I loved it, but I've not had the chance yet to watch it this week because it's just having that time to put it aside and then be able to sit and watch it and pay attention to it. So it's kind of a shame on that side, but when I finally see it, I know I'm going to sit through it and love it just again. And the number one movie this week on DVD and Blu-ray, Oz the Great and Powerful.
Yeah, it's okay. It's nothing fully special. It doesn't hit the ground like the original Wizard of Oz does, but it's okay. It's brash and colourful, and there's things in there for young kids. Not too young though, because Mila Kunis is the Wicked Witch. It's a bit scary at times for younger children, but it's, like I said, it's brash and it's colourful, and it flows along fine, but it's not the knockout of the park that it should have been.
Yeah.
No comment. Yep, that's it.
I really liked it, and it's one of those ones I think the 3D is fantastic in it, and I think it's quite impressive because I think it's only PG as well, which for a PG film, it does have these kind of scary moments in it that young kids will be afraid of because it's Sam Raimi. Make no distinction when you're watching it. You can tell it's a Sam Raimi film.
Yeah, you can. Right, it's time for an ad break for The Holocaust. It's actually this trailer 2 for season 4, so listen to this and we'll be back in a moment.
You say you want a podcast that's adequate but tries, where ham hock, bouncy ball and Dalek sex talk drivel about their lives, where Satan reads us his top 5 lists and robots read us the news about games, pop culture and internet. You better shoot through to iTunes. The things we say will please your ears in an impure way. The things we say. We are the Holocaust.
Oh, Dr. Hawk.
We are the Holocaust, Season 4. Talking piffle about out on Spreaker and iTunes. Follow us at We Are the Holocaust with a letter R.
Right, welcome back. It's time to get into our myriad of reviews.
Parker, which is directed by Taylor Hackford, stars Jason Statham as Parker, the main character, who at the beginning of the movie is he's kind of like a gun for hire, but not really a gun. He's kind of like a member of a crew. He's brought in to be involved in this theft at a fairground. Everything seems to go through fine. The leader of the group, played by Michael Chiklis, though, turns around on him when they're escaping and getting away, and turns around and says, "We need your share of the money because we're going on to this other bigger thing. So give us your share, or we're going to kill you." Basically, he turns them down. Big shootout ensues in which he's left for dead, and they drive off. The thing is, then he's not dead. He survives. He comes back. He finds his way into somewhere he can get healed, and gets in touch with his fence, played by Nick Nolte, to give him an idea and try and find out a link to be able to get back to Michael Chiklis' character, to find them and basically get revenge and get his money back. Here's a clip.
What happened? I invoiced, but I wasn't able to collect.
Oh, Jesus, Parker. Are you all right?
What? 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 Where is he?
It's not a good idea. After you didn't call, I did some checking. It turns out that Melander is not as independent as I thought. He's got connections, big connections. We're talking Chicago, Danziger. So don't start anything.
Ellie, it's me. Give me a name.
Listen. Hardwick is a nephew of Danziger. You understand?
Give me a name.
All right, here's what I got. His brother Bobby Hardwick owns 5 bars on Bourbon Street, plus a rock and roll club. Now listen, you be real careful. These are bad guys.
When Parker is looking to find these people, he finds that there's he has an idea of where they are. Besides that, the people that he's trying to find will be hiding out in a place, waiting for something to happen. In order to do that, and this sounds a bit complex, but this is actually what happens in the film. He goes and finds a realtor, a real estate agent played by Jennifer Lopez, to show him around houses, and so he can try and find the one that's recently been bought by them with their money, so they can then set up to do whatever this bigger heist is. The thing with Parker is it just doesn't work. Honestly, it's so weirdly messed up in terms of narrative and of ideas of what happens and stuff. You have Jennifer Lopez, who is the second casted name on the whole film. She's the big name along with Jason Statham. Doesn't turn up in the film until a lot later than you would expect, and is basically a character that you would have another actress, a smaller actress, play for 5 minutes and then throw her away and you'd be done with her. Instead, it's like, oh, we've got Jennifer Lopez, we'll cast her in this role and we'll just make the role bigger. The thing as well, I mean, Parker is an interesting character, and the start of it is interesting and nice, and it's the kind of typical thing you have with Jason Statham, and then it kind of gets bored with that and decides, oh, we're going to try and do something different. And it has a couple of action sequences in it. They're not very big action sequences. They're not very fulfilling Jason Statham action sequences because not a lot happens in them. And then it's like, this happens, it's done, they're over. That's it. I mean, and this is a big film as well. And there could have just been so much more done. It's so much missed opportunity. You have these other characters in there as well, like Michael Chiklis' character, who really could have been played by anyone. There's nothing stand out about it. You have Nick Nolte's character there, who you heard doing a best impersonation of a dog that he can. And it's just, he's in there again for what seems like a throwaway role. You have this whole thing of a girl that Parker is sort of involved with, but is, who's also in trouble in the background, who then has to come forward to the foreground, and then seems to get forgotten about. So it seems like this film kind of doesn't know what it wants to be and doesn't know what it wants to do. And you feel that when you're watching it. You kind of get lost and you go, oh, wait, what about this? And then it comes up, or something gets completely forgotten about. And by the end of it, you kind of go, I have a headache.
Yeah, I had a headache as well. It's got a good opening and an okay ending, but it has nothing in between. It's like it's like going into a sandwich shop, asking for a sandwich, and all they give you is just 2 slices of bread.
It's just, it doesn't have a filling. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's just, it doesn't have anything of substance in the middle, and just characters who are pointless that you've got no interest in, and you're sat there watching them for a film which honestly goes on for far too long because its running time is an hour. An hour 50. It's 2 minutes shy of 2 hours. It needs to be half an hour shorter at least. I wouldn't mind if it was 45 minutes shorter, and it would be better, because then at least you'd have, something happens and something happens. You don't have something happens, you sit there for 30 minutes going, what am I watching? And then something happens. Really, I mean, it's just a complete waste. There's nothing to it.
It's rare that we agree, but I completely agree. It's true, though. I completely agree with you. It's
first film in the DVD section, and we agree on something. Oh dear!
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case when we get further on through the DVD section, but it's a good start. Next up is Safe Haven, directed by Lasse Hallström, who's got a film at this year's Fright Fest called The Hypnotist. It's a completely different kind of film for Lasse Hallström to do, because he's the kind of director who just this is romantic drama.
I think it's the new one. The Hypnotist has been hailed as the new Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, isn't it?
Yeah, because I've seen the trailer of it, and it looks a really interesting sort of, like, I don't know why it's been shown at Fright Fest, because it's more of like a crime thriller about somebody trying to get into the mind, hypnotise a boy to try and find out the serial killer. So maybe it's got that kind of feel there, but it looks a really, really good film. So that's Lasse Hallström's next film, but he's stuck with what he's good at. Well, what he can do, anyway, with Safe Haven. And this stars Julianne Hough, who plays Katie. And at the start of the film, you see her get on a bus. She's on the run from the police, supposedly. She gets on this bus. She finds herself into a small town called Southport, which is in North Carolina. She tries to get a life for herself. She ends up buying this rundown house to try and build it up. Paint the floor is the first thing that she wants to try and do with this house. Here's a clip.
Hi.
Hi. Are your mom and dad around?
No, but I can help you. You looking for anything?
Well, now that you ask, do you have any paint?
We have this book that's with all different kinds of colors that you can get.
Oh, really? Oh,
what
that
are you
would be
painting?
great. I'm painting my kitchen floor. No, I'm serious. Why is that funny?
Because you usually don't paint floors. You usually put a rug on them.
Well, I'm thinking that I want to brighten the place up. So,
okay.
What's a happy color? What could I do?
There's yellow.
Yellow?
Yeah. Color of the sun.
Okay, that is happy. I think you just sold me on that. All right.
I can go get some samples of it. I'm Lexi.
Okay, I'm Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Thank you.
And so while in this small little town of Southport, she meets up with Josh Dummel's character, who plays Alex. He's a father of two, and in that clip there you heard he's a little girl. He's also got a son. You find out that he did lose his wife, and he just wants to bring up his children. They moved to this town because they holidayed there, and they actually really liked it so much that they decide to stay there. Now, Katie is trying to establish a life for herself. She doesn't want to try and get a relationship. She doesn't want to be involved with somebody. But you learn that she has got a bit of a secret, the reason why she is at this town, which obviously I'm not going to give it away because it is a main plot point of the film. Now, the film itself is a simple premise movie. What you expect, something that's written by Nicholas Sparks. He's the kind of person who writes books where if you've read one of them, you've read them all. Every single book that he does, it follows exactly the same kind of route, and this doesn't deviate from anything that he's done previously. It's exactly like what he's done previously. I think he also did Dear John, which Lasse Hallström also directed. But it's a safe film for people who like that kind of thing. If you don't, you will be bored out of your mind, because they're just so wishy-washy characters. Nothing much happens in the movie. When you fully find out what happened to Katie and the reason why she is there, and this sort of little tiny twist, but if you can probably guess it.
Yeah.
Then that's the only part of the movie where something actually happens. The rest of it is just, it's a waste of film, to be honest. It's on for nearly 2 hours, and it feels its running time, and it just plods along, and it is one of those movies where they only known each other for a little while, yet they instantly fall in love, and you're thinking, yeah, that's really not going to happen. It's honestly really not going to happen. The only person who ever does that is Britney Spears. But it's true, though. She married her boyfriend within 48 hours of meeting, so she's a nutcase. But that's the only person who does that kind of thing. She won't be listening to the show anyway. So if you like this kind of film, you'll think it's very incidental and okay. But if you don't like this kind of movie, like myself, then you'll just think, why am I watching this? Because it's so boring, meandering and pandering that just pads along, and I nearly fell asleep, to be honest.
I'm going to go on.
Sorry, Booger, in the live chat there, because I know that he likes these kind of films, but it's no.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, actually, regarding that, I want to say, because the twist, I mean, you're saying about predicting the twist, I knew the twist was coming long before. You can guess
I guessed it right at the start.
Well, especially as it's been used in another film recently, and I'm not going to say which one it is to give it away for anyone who does want to see this, but if you've seen that film, then you kind of know it, and it's, it's a film starring Zac Efron, but I'm not going to say more than that.
Booger's going to try Safe Haven. You'll like it, Booger. You'll probably even cry.
Yeah, if you've seen anything with Zac Efron, then you'll like it.
If you've seen anything directed by Lasse Hallström, he did things like What's Eating Gilbert Grape and stuff like that, then you'll like it.
And if you've seen anything though, like What's Eating Gilbert Grape, you need your head examined.
I like What's Eating Gilbert Grape, it's okay.
Red Dawn, which is the remake of the original, which I think was 1984, something like that. The original one with Patrick Swayze. This one starring Chris Hemsworth as the leader of a group of teenagers who, at the start of the movie, everything seems to be going fine for them in their town. He has just returned from being in Iraq in service. He comes back to the town, everything's going fine. And then the town is invaded by a North Korean attack with troops that are sort of airdropped in. They take control of the town, put everything in place and sort of barricade the town off. Whereas Chris Hemsworth's character, him and his brother, played by Josh Peck, they all sort of end up in sort of the mountains of the nearby area and with a whole bunch of other kids and decide they are going to become a kind of a militia to try and cause problems for the North Korean army. Here's a clip.
Okay, you guys ready? How you feeling?
I don't know.
It's all right, man. I feel the same way. Now, look, I know we're outnumbered and we're outgunned. That doesn't mean we can't make a difference. So it's up to us to let people know that there is a fight on. A fight that we need them to join. Most of those soldiers down there, they don't want to be here. So we have to make it too hard and too difficult and too bloody for them to stay. When I was overseas, we were the good guys. We enforced order. Well, now, we're the bad guys. And we create chaos.
So, I haven't seen the original one for years, but there are elements of this film that take directly from the original, which is kind of like a nice homage to it. It was actually delayed for 2 years because they originally filmed it and everything had it already. And then
longer than that.
Was it more than 2 years? I'm sure it was 2 years.
2008, I think it was around about the same time as Cabin in the Woods was supposed to come out.
The two of them were filmed about the same time, but then they were supposed to come out. I thought they were supposed to come out about 2010, and they came out in 2012. The thing is with this one, it got delayed because of they did have it as just Chinese invading. They changed it to North Korea so that it could be released in China because the China box office has just all of a sudden opened up and gone mental. The thing with it, I mean, this is... What?
Sorry, I just like the fact that you said that the Chinese box office has opened up and gone mental.
It has.
It's a mental country.
But the thing is with this remake is that it is a remake that you really didn't need, nor want, nor have to see. But the funny thing is, I kind of enjoyed it. I didn't have a problem with it that a lot of people did, where they thought it was terrible, bad. And I mean, the dialogue in it is quite awful at times. The characters you really don't care about. They are all throwaways, and some of them get thrown away, literally. You have stupid things going on it, and like a militia that really seems just so disorganised that it's unbelievable they'd be actually sent into another country to invade it. But it's just fun. It's kind of like, I mean, because I think it's a 15, but it's kind of like Saturday afternoon TV sort of movie. It's kind of like, you know, the 18 fun. People get killed in it because they didn't get killed in the 18, but it's that kind of enjoyable, throwaway, dumb popcorn film. You don't need to sit there with your brain on and to really enjoy it. You can just sit back, watch the big explosions, go, ooh, wow, that was nice, and then go, yeah, that was okay, throw it away, I've seen it. So I wouldn't necessarily say buy it, but rent it, yeah, investigate it, have a look at it. Look at the trailer, see what you think. If you maybe think, yeah, I might have a look at that, then rent it. It's worth it. You'll probably find that it's not a bad watch, but it's not like Oscar worthy. And Chris Hemsworth this is back before Chris Hemsworth was a known name. So he's just, you know, another actor in it. He doesn't really stand out. So I mean, go into it with that. You'll enjoy it, but you'll come out at the end and go, yeah, it was okay. What else you got?
I thought it was a bit pants, and I think the Australian version of it, Tomorrow When the War Begins, is actually a much better film.
Which is supposed to be getting a sequel. It's supposed to be 3 of them, but I've not heard anything further than that yet.
I think that's a much better film. So if you want to, I say ditch Red Dawn, both versions, the original and this, and just go watch Tomorrow When the War Began.
I would say though about the thing with the Tomorrow When the War Began is that there is a big lull in the middle of it, whereas this doesn't have
it. It is, but
Red Dawn doesn't have that.
It's a chance for you to get sort of like more with the characters rather than these just being complete throwaway ones. Right, next film. I'm gonna have a good field here with this one. It's a field in England. It's directed by Ben Wheatley. He actually shot this just before he did Sightseers. He was given a small budget and he created this film just before Sightseers. It's in black and white, and it's the first film to be released simultaneously on the cinema, Blu-ray and DVD, video on demand, and a free-to-view channel. A few films has happened before like that, but it's been released on pay-per-view. So Mum and Dad was the last film that it did, but that was released on Sky Box Office on Boxing Day. I think they charged like £10 to watch it on that as well. So it was a ridiculous price. That was the same price as the Blu-ray and DVD. So you might as well have just bought it on Blu-ray and DVD. But this one is it's directed by Ben Wheatley. It stars Reece Shearsmith, who plays a character called Whitehead, who's sort of like an alchemist of sorts, and he's tasked to try and hunt down this other alchemist, O'Neill, played by Michael Smiley, and it's set during the English Civil War. And he finds him in a field. He's with a few men who are trying to find this inn that they're hunting down. They come across this O'Neill character, and he has a sort of like a really weird misdemeanor about him. He doesn't seem very normal. He doesn't seem like a natural human being. Previously, they discovered these mushrooms, which has a hallucinogenic kind of feel to them. And during the movie, you find out about it. But Reece Shearsmith's character doesn't take these mushrooms. As a matter of fact, he's more manipulated by O'Neill's character. And ultimately, he's supposedly the one who's trying to capture O'Neill. But it looks like O'Neill has captured them because this field holds a secret that O'Neill wants to try and get. That's the best way I can describe the movie, because this film is very incoherent. It's a movie where you watch it and just by the time the credits roll, you're still thinking, oh, what was that movie about? And even when you listen to an interview with Ben Wheatley, even he can't describe how the movie goes. Because it is this kind of film where you need to try and make up what the film is about for yourself. I listened to an interview with Reece Shearsmith, and I think he described it as best as I've heard anybody actually describe the film. And you need to interpret it for yourself. You need to interpret what the field means, what these mushrooms mean, what they're actually viewing, how Shearsmith's character is manipulated by this O'Neill character. What is actually O'Neill? How he managed to become part of this field? Is he a ghost of this field? Is he in fact the devil of this field, which is actually hinted? Or is he actually the full devil himself? And what is the secret inside this field so big that he wants it so much? I quite like the film. It's very weirdly shot. It's shot at a very strange pace. You've got at times where it's very static, and it's more like a painting that you're looking at. And then, obviously, you've got the movement of the characters. And I think a problem that you had is it fades to black, and then it comes back up. And you thought it was an advert going to be playing. That's where the advert was meant to play.
I didn't think that. I mean, I kind of thought that it was like it was made with that in mind. When that was done, at the end, it's kind of like the end of each act was fade to black a bit, but it kind of serves the thing of like a point of like, okay, you've reached this far, now go on to the next bit, and it really felt like it was unnecessary and like it was just wrongly edited for me. I mean, and that's the whole thing of that. That's basically a way that I would describe the whole film as wrongly edited. It's just
I can see it's got a scattergun kind of editing effect. There isn't also an effect in the film itself where it's shot so fastly. It really does hurt your eyes, no matter if you can watch black and white or not. And it did hurt my eyes, but I thought it was an interesting film. It's an interesting experiment, and I think it would have only worked if it was released the way it has been released, so you can make up your own mind how to watch it. I think if this was just a cinema release, it would have absolutely flopped. But it's an interesting experiment. I quite liked it. I think it needs to be watched more than once to fully understand it. But it might take 5 or 6 viewings and you'll still be confused, probably.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me, I mean, I tweeted afterwards about it and I messaged you about it. I think that I felt like after I'd watched it, I was literally like, what the hell was that about? I felt like I'd been watching a foreign film without subtitles, and I had no idea what was going on, where it was leading, what was happening. So I ended up literally feeling just so lost out of it, and it just, for me, didn't work.
Yeah, okay. We're going to have to plough through these 4 films because we have about 15 and a half minutes left, so
okay. The Wee Man, which is directed by Ray Burdiss, who also wrote the film, is about the true story of a man named Paul Ferris, who is a Glasgow man in the movie played by Martin Compston, he's kind of a well-known gangster member of Glasgow. For the film sort of starts off with him as a kid and goes through his life as he then he's having problems with bullies and a group of brothers when he's younger. He's grown up and they're still sort of bullying him when he's in his 20s. He then, when he's at a party, he kind of turns around and it basically goes up and knifes two of the brothers and attacks them. And it's after that then that he realises that is something that, weirdly enough, appeals to him. Here's a clip.
For the first time in my life, I never felt afraid. The first time I never felt intimidated. I tell you, Kath, I enjoyed it.
Oh.
I'm telling you. It was easy. I was on top. In control. For once in my life I saw them for what they are. For nothing. Nothing! I allowed them to exist.
You've changed. I used to look into your eyes and I'd see a little boy. A wee man full of life and ready for whatever it threw at him. I look into your eyes now. And do you know what I see? Demons.
So the movie then follows the rise of Paul Ferris as he then joins into a gangster group, and he ends up becoming important in that, and then other things sort of breaking apart and things like that. It's not a badly put together film, but the thing about it is that it is morally a bit of a disturbing film, because it kind of plays this character who is a known gangster and who is the bad guy, as it kind of tries to show the innocent side of him, not the innocent side, but the good side of him, and how he kind of struggles to get out of things. But I mean, you don't know if this is true or if it's made up or not. But things like him getting arrested because the police fit him up by, they do a bust on him, find nothing there, so they plant drugs on him and then arrest him for that, and he gets put to prison. So it's that kind of thing, because it's trying to make you feel sympathetic for the character, but because of what the character does and the way the character is, it's not really deserving of it, and it's kind of worrying in that respect that it tries that. So it's one of those films that it is sort of full of lots of language. It was 15 in cinema, but I think it's 18 on DVD, and it's been uprated because there's a lot of strong language in it. There's a fair bit of violence in it, and it's the kind of thing you come to expect from a gangster film, but it's not everything you expect, and it's, as I say, a bit morally questionable when you're watching it.
Right, next up is Broken. It's a small British film directed by Rufus Norris. I'm not going to fully go into the storyline. It stars Cillian Murphy, Tim Roth, and an actress called Lily James is in it, but mainly Eloise Lawrence, who plays a character called Skunk, and she's a 12-year-old girl who lives in this sort of like tiny little area in London, in this sort of like cul-de-sac place. And one incident in the film, I think it's in the trailer as well, and it's shown at the start, where somebody blames one of the neighbours for practically raping his daughter. However, he didn't actually do that. He gets beaten up. Skunk sees this, and it sort of like affects her, but it doesn't just affect her. It affects out how everything is actually played out during the entirety of the movie, and how everybody reacts in this cul-de-sac. And this tiny little incident fractures everybody. It really does make them feel broken. Cillian Murphy, he plays a teacher in the film, and again he gets wrongly accused of a crime that he didn't commit, and it's all just because of one family. And the more you watch the film, the more you think to yourself, this family is deplorable until something happens to them. And so the director is able to turn a family who was really nasty on its head, and you feel really sorry for them. Each family, something bad happens to them, and you feel really bad for them. And specifically, one of the characters the original character who gets framed for rape, the journey that he goes through is just hell. Absolute hell. And he goes from a timid kind of character to somebody who's practically fully broken inside. He is really fractured inside, and It's an interesting movie. When you get to the last 20 minutes of it, that's where it really does tear at you. And it really becomes an extremely hard watch. But it's a very well structured film, very well acted. And I think Eloise Lawrence, who plays Skunk, she's one to look out for in the future. She's a really good little actress. And I really enjoyed the film for the kind of movie that it is.
Goats, which is really the title of the next film, is directed by Christopher Neal. It's based on a novel by Mark Poirier. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but he also wrote the screenplay for the film. It stars Graham Phillips as Ellis, who is a man who's about to go off to, not to college, but in America you have like a prep school that you go to before college. He's being sent away he's going away to that. He currently lives with his mother, played by Vera Farmiga, and also lives there with a man who's just called Goat Man, played by David Duchovny, who is kind of this herbalist who is good at growing weed, and he looks after these goats that he's apparently training for some purpose. Graham Phillips' Ellis then leaves, goes to this prep school, goes to school, and ends up finding that things aren't quite there and quite, brilliant as he's expecting there. There's also this thing of that he has his father, who is sort of living with another woman who's moved away years ago, played by Ty Burrell, whose their relationship is kind of strained, and it's one of these kind of coming-of-age films about he goes off to school, changes, becomes a man, and then starts becoming good friend with his father again, and good relationship with his mother, who is a bit of a basket case, really. It's nothing new brought to the coming-of-age genre. It has everything in it that you know from all these other films. The whole thing of that there's a girl interested in it, and does she, doesn't she, and then you've got this whole thing of Goat Man, who is just really weird, kind of like a hippie, massive long beard, long hair, and just so out there. It's a weird thing for David Duchovny to see him doing this. And I mean, the thing is that there's fairly decent performances in it, but nothing stands out about it. It's such an average film, and there's nothing new to this whole coming of age genre, which is the problem. It just literally got to the end of it. I was like, okay, yeah, nothing to that film, nothing new, nothing interesting, nothing really stood out, and that's why, unfortunately, it just was a disappointment.
And quickly is Exit, which is directed by Peter Lindmark. It stars Mads Mikkelsen. This film originally came out in 2006 in Sweden, so we're only getting it now, beating the record for Hellraiser Hellworld, which there's a gap of like 6 years. This has got a gap of 7 years.
And also stars Alexander Skarsgård as well, who's now big in True Blood as well, which is 6 years old now.
Mads Mikkelsen, he plays this character at the start of the film where he's a businessman, and him and his colleague manages to outdo this guy from his business, and he ends up committing suicide. Several years down the line, he's trying to sell this business that he's managed to swindle out from this guy with this business partner. However, after a night of a conversation with his business partner, the next year, his business partner is actually found dead, and so Mads Mikkelsen's character is framed for the murder of it. However, it could be that his past might come back to haunt him, and Alexander Skarsgård plays this character who is sort of like a very timid person who's friends with Mads Mikkelsen and tries to help him out. The film itself is not too bad. It has problem with its structure and its flow of the film. It just feels a bit disjointed at times, and it doesn't flow very well. It meanders a lot of the time. But because you've got really good acting from Mads Mikkelsen, not Alexander Skarsgård, I think his character is just way too weak. It really does fall on the shoulders of Mikkelsen. He does a really good job of his character, but it's just a throwaway film. I can see why it's taken so long for it to come out over here. I think it's just riding on the coattails of how well Mikkelsen's doing in Hannibal and how well Skarsgård is doing in True Blood. And it's not for fans of them, to be honest. It's only for fans of people who like very straightforward thrillers. Even for people who really like Swedish films, like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the original one, they'll find this to be very meandering and boring at times, and it does fall into that category. But it's okay for what it is. Right, I'm glad we've got through all of that stuff. TV movie of the week. Now, I'm cheating.
Yeah, you cheat every week.
I know. But I'll let you do yours first.
Okay, well, I don't need to describe it or anything because it's the King's Speech, which if you haven't heard of it, go back and look at the Oscars for the last couple of years because it's a fantastic film. It's on Film 4, Thursday night, Thursday the 11th at 9 p.m. And just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and the director went on to do Les Miserables.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Is it true?
Yeah, and mine is, I'm cheating a little bit because it's a triple bill. It's on Film 4 from 9 o'clock on the 14th. It starts off with Source Code at 9, and then you've got Alien straight after at 10:50, and then straight after that is a brilliant little Irish horror film called Isolation, which very few people have heard of, but it's a really good... It's one of those kind of horror films that really gets under your skin, because it's about a bug that infects the livestock of this farm, but it really does get under your skin, and it is quite gruesome at times, but I thought it was a very enjoyable film, and it's really well made. Right, a few people that you really do need to follow. Go to our website, mondaymovieshow.co.uk. You'll find reviews and UK box office top 10s and stuff like that up on the site. Also, followingthenerd.com. Their show is Thursday night, 9 o'clock. There isn't a show this Thursday. Next Thursday there will be. The Thursday after that there won't be because they're in Germany. Lucky people. MenageAGeek.com, which is Al's, the Bald Gamer Dudes. You've also got Bryn SMC on Twitter, and Lubewski, which is Al's other half. They've just released a new episode about an hour and a half ago. Supposedly it's absolutely insane, so go and listen to that. Vote Saxon 07, which you'll have to, if you like your toy reviews, please go to YouTube, search for Vote Saxon 07, VOTESAXON 07. He has some fantastic toy reviews, and he's a strange character, but he is awesome. Lolacost and the Gamescast. Lolacost has got an episode going out after us. The Gamescast is on a Friday night, 9 o'clock. From page 2 screen, number 2 screen.com. Show went out again about an hour and a half just before we started. So everything's happening before us and after us, which is nice. And Andy does the British show with Stuart, and there's going to be a special podcast also, which is going to be recorded tomorrow. You've got Slater, who I follow on Twitter, who's doing a 24-hour marathon called Playing for Palsy. Make sure you check out his Twitter feed. He's bombarding it with it, and if you can help him out, brilliant. And also the Serum Foundation, which they are having a Rugby Sevens weekend at the end this weekend in Swansea. If you can get down and support them, please do so. Check out their website, serumfoundation.org.uk. Before we disappear, I know, Andy, you flashed up in Skype, but I already knew that we were going to do this. Movie of the week.
That's the thing. I'm really difficult. I'm going to cheat this week for a change. I'm going to say go and rent Cloud Atlas.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's nothing else this week. I'm thinking, yeah, it really stands out. Cloud Atlas.
Yeah, it's for me, it's a bit of a downer week. So I would just say, go to the cinema and see Now You See Me, but it's forgettably good. So you'll forget about it after you come out of it. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Go and see what?
Exactly. Right, playing you out this week is something from an upcoming film from Red 2. So until next week, which will be back at 7:30, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
MI6 has just given me a contract to kill you. Apparently you're guilty of nuclear terrorism, murder, and you're number 1 on Interpol's Most Wanted.
What did you say?
Well, I said yes. You know, the money's good, and anyway, if I don't do it, somebody else will.
It's bad, isn't it?
Is that Marvin?
Yes, and Sarah.
Send them my love, will you?
Driving me crazy. Marvin gave her a gun.
Was it loaded?
Yes. Yes.
Are you being controlling?
No.
Well, you have to take chances in a relationship. You have to be supportive.
I don't need her to fit in. I just need her to be safe.
Just rent Dirty Dancing. Tell her you love her. You know, it's important to enjoy life while you still can.